hello everyone on Facebook watching this as well. We're here in Santa Cruz kicking off the Ignite Your Life workshop to help us figure out what's really important in our lives and how do we stay on track and keep incorporating the things that are really important to us into our lives. I want to talk a little bit about myself. And my journey, that sounds funny. I want to talk about myself. My journey to this place of actually creating Living ROI. Last month, I shared, very personally sort of about Franny and how she helped me realize that I was putting way too much focus on work at the expense of my own health and my children, my relationship with my children and my husband. And that was a real catalyst for me to make changes and say, why would I give up? Why would I put all of my best energy, my fresh energy, my morning energy, my look as great as you can to some company, as much as I'm grateful for the work, and then come home and give the dregs to myself and my family? And that just doesn't make sense, because I see people, and have over the years, get sick, and it's their family and friends who are there with them at that point. And they might have some nice people at work who wish them well and are, encouraging them and supporting them, but it's your family and your friends and your own personal health that have to come first. So this has been something that I've been personally committed to as part of the CEO and founder of ROI Communication, which is a communication consulting firm that I started 17 years ago. And we have about 80 employees. And what I say to everyone when they start is, your first priority is your own health. And your second priority is your family and pets maybe, or people that are near and dear to you. And once those are in good shape, then you come to work. And if at any point those are out of place, then you take care of that and we have your back. And it works. It just works. I mean, we have been successful. People are grateful. They can relax because they know that they don't have to worry that they're going to get fired or miss an opportunity because they aren't there every second. So it's been a really interesting journey for me. And now I've hired a president at ROI Communication. And so now I get to take him through that journey and really help him really understand that it really does work. And he's getting there. It'd be funny if he was watching. Hi, Charlie. I'll tell you to watch this, Charlie. So for me, it's still a journey. I just want to say, I am not perfect. I do not do this perfectly. I have to do this journal. And the only way I stick to the journal is by meeting regularly with my group, which is W3. We call it W3. And there's a little sort of blurb about what W3 is here. And I have spent years sort of researching and going to conferences and doing practices, Tony Robbins and a whole bunch. In fact, I have them all listed in acknowledgements. There's many, many people listed there. And I've tried different approaches. And one of the things that I realized is that a lot of the approaches are very masculine. And I say that, not that they're male, but they're the masculine sort of left brain. This is how, follow the road, and less intuition, more competitive, be successful. And so what I've pulled into this, what my goal is to sort of bridge that with the feminine, which we're calling it, but it's also just the intuitive part of ourselves, the part of ourselves that's not a straight line. It flows, and it ebbs and flows. And, sometimes we're on and sometimes we're off, and it's a journey. So when I have found, and my husband just reminded me of this last night, when some friends said, "Oh gosh, you must really have more time as you hired a president," and my husband said, "She's busier than ever." That's partly kicking off Living ROI. But my life today versus 10 years ago is dramatically different. So I'm fine tuning, but I am busy. I find that when I free myself up, it gets filled up pretty quickly. And I thought of an analogy to this. So we live in Santa Cruz near De La Viega Park, and there's a big hill and then a meadow with these beautiful cows in front of our house, and then a little gully or trench and the road and then our house. And it goes like this, right? And then there's a creek behind our house. So when it rains, there's a lot of water, and the water all heads towards our house. So there's a lot of things that we do to divert the water. I mean, we've got the trench, and then my husband, who's so good at everything, frankly, has built little retaining walls in this dry riverbed that gets filled up. And so the way I look at it is the rain is just all the stuff that comes towards us. And we have to make sure that we have the structure and the boundaries and the practices in place that we don't get flooded, so we don't get overwhelmed, so we don't have too much coming at us at once, because we have our kind of built-in system. And this is that system. This is that process that kind of makes sure that you stay on a path and that you're not inundated with too much. Because there's so much coming at us. Can you believe every single year there's just more information? We've got our iPhones, and our attention spans are shrinking, and it's overwhelming. And so how do we manage that and really live a peaceful, happy life? So that's what this is all about. Some of the techniques, I just thought I would share a couple of techniques that I do now that make a difference. One is like when I'm traveling. These are just like little things that I've adjusted my life. I used to travel. Yvonne knows me from 17 years ago. My goodness. So she has seen the other Barbara from a work environment where just pushing too hard. And traveling and coming back and having meeting after meeting after meeting. Now, if I'm traveling, I give myself a day, if not two, to rest and recuperate and get ready. Wow, but you have to build it in. Otherwise, it'll fill up. And I totally do that now all the time, and I don't get sick as much, and I'm much happier. The other thing is to obviously book time in my schedule, create space between meetings and between travel and events. And that's a huge tool, and it's really the only way. You've got to block it out and make it happen. And that's what I do on a weekly basis. One other analogy that I loved that you might have heard of, which is the container and rocks. So you've got 3 big rocks that represent your goals, and you've got a whole bunch of pebbles, which are important things that need to get done. And then there's sand, which are all the little things that happen every day that aren't important really, but we have to deal with them. And if you have a container and you pour the sand in first and then the pebbles, and you try to fit those 3 rocks in, they won't fit. So the only way they fit is if you put the rocks in first, and then the pebbles, and then the sand, and the sand just fits around the pebbles and the boulders. So those big rocks represent what's really important to us. And that's what we're going to get into in the first part of this journal. Some of you have already done it, which is awesome. But then as you go on for weekly planning, you're reminding yourself every single week, what are those big boulders? And am I paying attention to them? And do I have them incorporated into my week? It's also just practical. I'm amazed that I'll find on Sunday as I'm doing this work that I'm double booked on it for something, or I haven't thought of something I need to prepare. So it's even just the practicality of looking at what do I have coming up the next week. So that's sort of an overview today, some thoughts for today. I'm going to say goodbye to my Facebook group, except let me just say that you guys can download, if you haven't already, and I'll let all of you guys know, you can tell your friends, you can download the journal for free on livingroi.com, or you can buy it on Amazon. When you come here, you get like a 50% discount for the journal. Come to a future event. The next one's going to be February 25th. We're actually going to be doing vision boards, so that'll be fun. And thank you all. We're going to say goodbye to Facebook, and we're going to start doing our group work. All right. So